Hi guys, how's it going? David O'Sullivan here, and in this video, as I promised in my last video, I'm going to be talking about the films of my childhood. Now, I've been thinking about doing this video for a long time now. A while back I was thinking about doing it, and I even had some of these films on my 20 favourite films of all time video that I did a while back that ended up becoming just a massive big thing, 20 individual videos. But I was thinking about including some of these films on that video and a couple of them that on this list, and I cut them off in the end because I decided to wait and do a video just about these films, just about the films of my childhood, the films that I grew up watching as a kid, and as a result are very nostalgic for me now. And I thought, instead of doing individual videos on each one of the films, I would talk about them all together in one big the films of my childhood video. So that's what this video is going to be. It's going to be the films that I grew up watching as a kid that really stuck with me and are nostalgic for me and are in a really special place to me. Also, before I get started, just a quick disclaimer, there's not going to be any Disney animated films or Pixar films on this list. Ordinarily there would be, because they're a big part of my childhood, both Disney and Pixar, and I grew up on the Disney and Pixar films. But I'm going to do a separate video just for Disney and Pixar, either one for Disney and one for Pixar, or Disney and Pixar together. I haven't decided yet, but like I said, I'm going to do a video just about those at a later date, maybe when Moana comes out or sometime next year, I don't know. But like I said, there won't be any Disney animated films on this list, nor will there be any Pixar films, as I'm saving them for their own separate video. And also, there won't be any normal wisdom films on this list. They are big films of my childhood, but I've already talked about them a lot already in the films that define my life video and my favourite films, so there's no point talking about them again here. So there won't be any Disney, Pixar or normal wisdom films on this list, so just a quick disclaimer there. Right, now let's not waste any more time and get straight into this now with my 10 favourite childhood nostalgia films. Actually, one last thing, this isn't going to be a top 10. There are 10 films on this list. I narrowed it down to 10, but it's not going to be a top 10. I'm not ranking these in any kind of order. It's not going from best to worst or anything like that. I could never even think about doing that with some of these films, so it's not in any kind of order. Like I said, just listing them from 1 to 10, not in any kind of order. I'm not ranking these, not a top 10, just another quick disclaimer there. And now let's just get straight into this now. And the first film on the list is Babe. Now this is a film that's very close to my heart, maybe you would say. It's in a quite special place to me. It actually came out the year of my birth, funnily enough, 1995. Obviously I didn't see it the year it came out, but I think I saw it quite early on, because I remember seeing it at quite a young age and I grew up watching it. I remember the videotape and the cover of the video case there, and I just love Babe. It's just a really nice, charming, wonderful film, and I haven't seen it in a long time. A lot of these films I haven't seen in years. It's going to be quite hard to remember that. I mean, I haven't forgotten about any of the films, but like I said, some of them I haven't seen in quite a while. But with Babe, it's really a film that stuck with me, and although I haven't seen it in quite a while, it's just one of those films that it has a heart. It really tugs on your heartstrings from an emotional point of view, and it's just a great story there. But it's like these animals that can talk, and Babe the pig wants to be a sheepdog, but it's a pig, and it's just it's great because it's a great message there, and it doesn't matter who you are, you can do whatever you want to do. As long as you want to do it, it's what you want to do, you can do it. As long as you put your mind to it, you can do anything, and I really like that. Because Babe is a pig, not a sheepdog, but desperately wants to be a sheepdog, and yeah, it's just so great. That'll do, pig. That'll do. Now on to the next film on the list, and it is Bedknobs and Broomsticks. A Disney film, a Disney live action film. Like I said, it's not going to be any Disney animated films, but there are a couple of Disney live action films, and Bedknobs and Broomsticks is one of them. It may not be as good as, like, say, Mary Poppins and some of the bigger, more well-known Disney films, but I loved Bedknobs and Broomsticks when I was a kid, and I think it's a good film. These kids that kind of get adopted by this witch played by Angela Lansbury, who has these magical powers, and I just love the Disney films that are very fantastical and magical, and it's got the cartoon animals in there as well, and Mary Poppins kind of thing. And I just loved that bit as a kid when they go to that island where the animals are like people, and there's that football game between the good animals and the bad animals. I just loved it. And also it does have some underlying themes and messages to it about it doesn't matter if you're different, just because you're different doesn't mean you have to be outcasted from society. I mean, it's I think it's set in the wartime, if I remember correctly, with the Nazis there, and it's the finale of the film. It's like them banding together and fighting back against the enemy. They may be different, They may be kind of outcasts from society, but they stick together, they band together, and they work together to fight back against the Nazis. So yeah, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, another one of my favourite childhood films. And next up, Chitty bam bam, we love you. Chitty bam bam, bam bam, chitty bam bam. I can't remember the words exactly, but next up is Chitty Bang Bang, a musical. There's quite a few musicals on this list. Chitty Bang Bang is one of them, and I grew up with a lot of these musicals when I was a kid, and it's just great. You know, it's such a feel-good film. Like a lot of other films on this list, it's kind of got some quite weird, dark, freaky undertones to it. The whole child catcher and that kind of foreign fictional country, and it's a little weird, but that's what I like about so many of these kids' films that are on this list. They're not safe, they're not kind of boring and stereotypical, formulaic. They've got some kind of scary, weird, freaky undertones to them. Chitty Bang Bang is one of them, and some of the other films on this list as well have a similar thing. But Chitty Bang Bang, how can you go wrong? Such a fun, feel-good film. I actually saw the stage production of it on the West End in London. It's so great with the car, the flying car, and just Dick Van Dyke. You know, the songs, how can you go wrong? You know, it's just such a good fun time. Also, that's another one about kind of like a family and kind of sticking together and kind of fighting back in a sense. It has this kind of like this society in this fictional country, and it's kind of like about, I suppose, if I remember correctly, kind of like not letting society control you. And I don't know, I may be getting this a bit wrong. I'm trying to remember some of the deeper underlying themes and messages to a lot of these films. I haven't seen some of them in quite a while, but yeah, how this society trying to control everyone. There's no kids allowed, you know, all the kids are gone, the child catcher, and it's like them kind of like fighting back and rebelling. Yeah, and I just really like Chitty Bang Bang, so that's the next film. The next film up is one of a few Robin Williams films on this list, and it's Hook. Again, this is one that I talked about on the Films That Defined My Life video as well, but I thought I had to include it here because Robin Williams and his films are such a big part of my childhood, and especially Hook. I remember seeing that at quite a young age when it not long just came out, and yeah, it's probably one of my favourite, if not my favourite Peter Pan film. It's not the obvious pick, it's not the most well loved out of all the Peter Pan films, but it's a Spielberg film, and I like it because it's different, you know, it's a twist and a fresh take on the story of Peter Pan. We've got a Peter Pan who's older now, who's kind of become more serious, he's kind of forgotten who he was, and I can really relate to that, you know, and he just wants to be this fun, loving kid again. Well, he doesn't want to be, but he ends up becoming that kid again, and it's just such a great theme and message, you know, about, you know, never wanting to grow up, becoming a kid again, just letting go of just this serious stuffiness of the adult modern world, and just letting go and becoming just this carefree kid again and having fun. I just absolutely love it, so I had to put Hook on this list as well. Next up, quite a different film, but it's Jason and the Argonauts. Such a classic film this, came out in the 60s, and again another film that I grew up watching as a kid. My mum really loved it, she loves these kind of big epic fantasy adventure movies as well, and I do as well. I love big epic fantasy action adventure films like Lord of the Rings and that, but one of the first I saw was probably Jason and the Argonauts, and it's such a classic, such a revolutionary film for its time in terms of the special effects with Ray Harryhausen, I think he's called, the stop motion creatures. It doesn't hold up as well now, it is a little dated, but it still works, and it's still a really good film. It's still great fun to watch, and like I said, these big epic fantasy movies, the great myths, the mythological creatures and monsters, and the quests, and Jason, the Argonauts, just so much fun, and I think a great film that still holds up to this day, and a classic. So yeah, Jason and the Argonauts. Next film up is another Robin Williams film, and it is Jumanji, and this is not one of the most well-known, well-loved, I don't think, out of all the Robin Williams films, but it's another one that I grew up watching as a kid at a very young age, and it's quite a weird, freaky kind of film, but I loved it as a kid. I don't know what it says about me as a kid, but a lot of the films that I loved as a kid were quite weird and dark and freaky. Maybe a lot of other kids kind of were traumatised by these kind of films, but I love them. I don't know what that says about me, but I love the kids films that were quite dark and freaky, you know, trippy. You know, I can't stand all these kind of safe, boring, predictable, stereotypical kids films now. I mean, I love the kids films of the 70s, 80s, 90s, or the ones that I grew up in, and Jumanji is one of them. And like I said, another Robin Williams film, and the whole board game, and everything just goes to shit and starts coming to life, and it's just the animals as well, like the CGI was really quite kind of ahead of its time when it came out. I mean, it doesn't hold up as well now. It does look a little dated, but it still worked and it's still good. If I remember correctly, you know, the CGI of all the animals, like the rhinos stampeding throughout the city, and it all just goes crazy and starts coming to life, and it's just such a cool, weird, freaky, crazy, bananas kind of kids film, and I absolutely loved it. Oh, one last thing about Jumanji is that it actually stars a very young Kirsten Dunst. I didn't realise this at the time, but I remember when I revisited it not that long ago, I was like, oh my god, that's Kirsten Dunst as a young kid. So I never knew that before. Next up, it's another big, famous, classic musical, and it is Mary Poppins, another Disney film as well. Mary Poppins, it's probably just one of my favourite Disney films, definitely live action anyway, but even just Disney in general, it's just such a classic film, and one of the best Disney films. Got Julie Andrews there as Mary Poppins, who comes to help the kids, get them together, and it's essentially about saving Mr. Banks as well. If the newer film is anything to go by, P.L. Travers, it was more about kind of saving the dad, you know, not the kids. And yeah, it's just such a great film. The music as well, we got Dick Van Dyke in there as well. And yeah, what is there not to like about Mary Poppins? I absolutely loved it as a kid. I still love it now. I can still watch it now and have a really good time. One of the best Disney films. I love the songs, so yeah, Mary Poppins. Next up, yes, another Robin Williams film. This is the last Robin Williams film, I promise you, but it's Mrs. Doubtfire, and oh my god, this is just such a great, one of his best comedies, I think. It's so funny, him dressing up as a woman. He desperately wants to get back with his kids, and to do so he goes to these extraordinary great lengths so that he can see them by dressing up and pretending to be this nanny so that he can see his kids still, you know, the court, you know, says he can't be with his kids, he can't see his kids, he so desperately wants to be his kids. It's kind of like a great message there about kind of love conquers all, in a way, you know, he'll do anything to get back with his kids, to see his kids, and it's quite a nice, heartwarming message there at the end. Another great performance from Robin Williams, a very funny film, Pierce Brosnan's in it as well. Stu, more of a thick soup than a name, really. Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire, I absolutely love it. A great Robin Williams film, a great comedy, so yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire. The penultimate film now, and it is another classic, and Wizard of Oz. Another musical as well. I didn't realise until I did this list about how many of the films from my childhood are musicals, because I'm not that massive a fan of musicals now, but a lot of the films that I loved as a kid and still love now are musicals, and Wizard of Oz is one of them, probably one of the best, probably one of the best films ever made as well. Got Judy Garland there as Dorothy getting whisked off to the land of Oz. You know, such a great kind of fantastical, magical film, going to this kind of dream world, but then at the end of the day, there's no place like home. Again, another film with some really nice messages to it, the relationships between the characters, the themes of the film. It's just great. There's just nothing not to like about The Wizard of Oz, so I had to put it on my list. The last film now, and it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and this is a kind of a bittersweet one because Gene Wilder not long passed away. A week or two ago, I think. I was away on holiday when I heard the news, and I just couldn't believe it. I didn't realise he was actually that old. It was like 83 or something, and he died of Alzheimer's, which I didn't know he had Alzheimer's. But yeah, just Gene Wilder, so great. One of the best comic actors of his time. And, you know, Young Frankenstein, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, but Willy Wonka is probably my favourite, and I just loved it as a kid. Yet another one that has some quite freaky, dark undertones to it, but I loved it. You know, some kids might have got traumatised, but I loved it. Yeah, and, you know, let's just not talk about that reboot with Johnny Depp. Oh my god. But the classic, original, starring Gene Wilder, he is Willy Wonka. He was so great in that role. He really made that film. I mean, I really liked the rest of the film around him, but Gene Wilder was the star of the show in that. He really was Willy Wonka. What is this, Wonka? Some kind of fun house? Why, are you having fun? Oh, it's just so great. You know, it really had it all, Willy Wonka. It had the fun, the adventure, the music, the comedy, just everything it had, and it just was such a great film. I can still watch it now and really enjoy it. So yeah, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And there we go. Sorry if that maybe was a little bit rushed, a little bit all over the place and scrambling to try and think about what to say about these films. Because like I said, a lot of them I haven't seen in quite a while, in quite a few years. Maybe I should have revisited some of them. I still remember them all and I still really like all of them to this day, like I said. But some of them I haven't seen in quite a long time, so it's hard trying to remember, you know, the deeper kind of underlying meanings behind each film as well. But yeah, just all these films, just such great films. Films that I loved as a kid, grew up on as a kid, are very nostalgic for me now as a result. And I just love them all still to this day. If you haven't seen any of the films on this, go check them out because I loved them as a kid. I still love them now, and I definitely recommend checking them out. So yeah, that wraps up my video on my 10 childhood nostalgia films. Let me know down below, what are your favourite films from your childhood, the films that are very nostalgic for you, that you watched as a kid and remember growing up watching when you were younger and are very nostalgic for you now. Let me know down below, I'd love to know. And also, if you like this, then make sure to click subscribe to see more. But for now, I've been David O'Sullivan. I'll see you next time.